Okay, Turner Township Board meeting, May 18th, 2026, now comes to order. Please remove your hats and stand. Just want to welcome everybody being here this evening. Looking forward to comments and from the guests. So, assessor comments, the assessor is not here. Recognition of the guest speakers. Are you gonna call out the names, Tina?
Yep, I can. Ready?
Okay.
All right, I got Patricia Farber. You got Patricia, do you have comments?
Yeah, after looking at the map plans for the site, I noticed that all of the studies end right in the project area. So the drainage pathway does not end at Big Cedar Creek Drain designation. Water continues along the Twining Road corridor through multiple culverts, including a major downstream culvert discharge into the Aubrey River system, which ultimately connects to Saginaw Bay and Lake Huron. An hydrology analysis that stopped short of evaluating those downstream conveyance impacts may be incomplete. My concerns were downstream culverts capacity tested under projected storm events? Were cumulative flow from field tiles included? Was the full downstream route to Aubrey River evaluated? Did the modeling account for sediment transport and erosion at downstream discharge points? And were Erin County Drain Commissioner records fully integrated into the analysis of these studies? And I think the people need to know these things before any further digging of the project or starting of the project. I think these analysis should be studied and found out and tested thoroughly. Because all these drains flow into the Aubrey River ultimately. And so you're talking about the Aubrey River, which leads to Saginaw Bay, which leads to Lake Huron. And then you're talking waterways division. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Valerie?
Yes, sheltering. I would like to know if you guys have an EIS in place for the current nesting wood turtles I have on my property. They are an endangered species, and for the last year I've been working with the DNR biologist and the Fish and Game to try to protect them. And I was just wondering if I could see your guys' EIS or what it is, if you have that in place. That's my question.
We'll get you what we got.
Okay, thank you.
Chris? Rachel?
I am raising concerns regarding potential conflicts of interest in the DTE solar project. I am submitting 4 items for the public record along with a written copy of my public comment here tonight. A letter from DTE indicating that financial participation agreements may be offered to non-participating landowners near project areas. Number 2, a DTE project footnote material and plans identifying non-participating classifications. Number 3, printed copies of those materials showing Township Treasurer and Secretary Rittenberg's listed within those footnotes. And number 4, potential conflict of interest consideration for seated board members listed on footnotes as non-participants. To date, none that I have found, there has been no public disclosures on the record confirming whether Rittenberg's or any other township official has received, been offered, or holds any financial agreement connected to this project. If such agreements exist, they would require disclosure under Michigan conflict of interest standards. and could raise questions regarding recusal from votes or deliberations. Given that prior votes have already taken place and Rittenberg's votes were necessary for this project to advance, any undisclosed conflict could also raise concerns about the procedural fidelity of those decisions. Accordingly, I am formally requesting that the material be entered into official record as submitted evidence. Also, any official with a political financial interest disclose it publicly. I'm also asking that both Rittenbergs recuse themselves from all future discussion and voting on this project, as this appears to the community as a conflict of interest or potential self-serving concern. Failure to ensure full disclosure and appropriate recusal may expose prior actions to procedural challenges based on improper conflict of interest compliance. I am requesting that my full comment and paperwork be submitted into a minute recording for tonight's messages. Some of the potential conflict of interest, besides financial gain from this, is the fact that they're sitting on the board and have direct influence over property value impacts. We don't know if there's any good for participating neighbor agreements, easement lease options, earlier enhanced access to non-public information about the planning of this project, decision-making authority over zoning, master plan amendments, and special use permits. Authority to vote on ordinances that are directly affect nearby private property, regulatory discretion influencing project approval, scope, or conditions, appearance of conflict affecting public trust and preserve neutral decisions, overlap between personal property interests and official decision-making duties. And I would like all of this information tonight that I will be provided with my statement to be entered into public record for tonight's meeting. That's all.
Rachel, are you giving me that tonight, or are you
Yes,
emailing it to me?
I'm
Okay.
gonna give this to you. I did have emails to I can send it to you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy?
I don't have anything right now.
Pam?
But just my one concern is after coming, from the last meeting and then sitting down and looking at the overall project, all the solar fields that are going into Aranet County, just the magnitude of it, the size, I'm just wondering why so much all at once? It's hard enough to take in as it is, but just the whole size of it is, that bothers me.
Right.
Okay.
Dwayne?
No comments at this time. Just here because I have property in Township.
Lisa?
Well, I was here to the county commissioner, and, I was told there was this meeting tonight, so I'm here for the constituents mostly. And, I get asked a lot of questions that I don't know the answers to, so I want to hear answers them. Cause I don't just guess, I just say, I'm not sure, but I'll look into it. Personally, I have a question. Well, like Dwayne said, we have some small property here, but, why is it called Aubrey Solar Park versus Turner Solar Park? Because I get, living in Aubrey Township, I have got asked that question, and I said, I don't know, that's my question too, so as a resident of Aubrey Township, I guess I will ask that question for myself and other people that ask, where did we come up with the name Aubrey? Because what if Aubrey wanted a solar park, what would we call it, Turner Solar Park? So I guess that's my personal question, outside of being a commissioner, where we came up with Aubrey Solar Park when it's in Turner. So, I don't know if you have answer to that right now. Did we just throw a dart?
Maybe Ron just thought it.
Well, I didn't just think it up. I got a belief, and whether it's true or not, I mean, 100% positive, but I've spoke with several townships in the state where these projects are. And it seems funny that a lot of them have names of adjoining communities, but not the community they're in. And I think it's personally, from my standpoint as a resident, not as a board member, that's meant to deceive our residents into believing that it's an R grade, so it's not a Turner project problem, it's an R grade problem. When in fact, it's a Turner Township problem, not an R grade problem. And I believe our community was misled by that very name right from the start.
Ron, let me interrupt you for a moment, please.
Yep,
These are for comments, not for discussion.
okay,
We've had this before. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
well, I was told to shut up.
You good?
Well, that's all I had right now.
Okay. Forshey, but Gerda? It does say Roberta? I'm like, it's got to, but I'm like, oh, the R is like, the R like squeezed your big R, like hid in with the other names. Yeah.
I just have a couple comments when I started looking into this project. Thank you, Tina, for being so open with everything that I asked for, and allowing me to look at everything, so I'd like to say that. However, I did not get the same response from the Aranet County Drain Commissioner today. And I'm not understanding the process, and Mr. Rittenberg didn't return my call months ago, after trying to ask him questions. So it's just very concerning that when I initially looked at the project, and I know this has been going on for 4 years, I empathize with the board's position of PA 33 and what the state has done. I'm not ignorant to the mandate, but I'm also not ignorant that there are half a dozen townships that did sue, or not sue, but they said no to the project because it was best for their communities, and at which point it was held up in the state, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hoagley, that the MPSC held up some of the things for the local control over those solar projects being proposed, and then they declined some, and the local did lose control on some. Am I right or wrong with that?
Somewhat right, and I don't wanna take over your meeting, this is
No,
your meeting,
no, I
so-
just corrected one person
Okay.
for no use comment,
Okay, perfect.
not discussion.
Perfect. So, not really sure if it was the MPSC or if it was the Michigan courts that held up that decision in the last couple of weeks that cited for some of the townships issues. So I understand that you have to follow an ordinance. When I first started looking at this project, I saw paperwork of 400 acres. 400 acres. And then, when I came in here and took pictures of 178 pages of this project, I find out it's over 1,200 acres. And not only do I find that to be deceptive, and that we don't have a local newspaper or radio station reporting on this stuff, which really bothers me as a former editor and a reporter. Why? Because the community needs to know what's going on. As elected officials, it would be my opinion that I want to serve the community and I want to hear what they say. But it seems like no matter where we go, it's bang door, bang door, bang door. We're not engineers. We're not engineers. We don't know. And we're relying on the elected officials to give us these answers. The Aranet County Drain Commissioner today refused to give me any documentation whatsoever. He's supposed to represent the people too. And he's not giving me any documentation, tells me a third party, Spicer, is getting paid to review this project and to determine if it's a viable project based on erosion, sound, wildlife, you name it. The eagles that I see on 65. All of that he doesn't have. He says it's between DTE. DTE gave the county money, and it's between DTE. And he's just gonna get in Spicer, and he's just gonna get a report back. He has no issue, no vote, no nothing. When I asked Tina, what's the next legal steps? Well, we have to wait. Wait for what? Wait for who? Well, wait for what? Because it's not 1,200 acres. It's not 1,200 acres. It is not 1,200 acres. It is not. It is not. It's gonna go to the Iosco County line. Mark my words. That's it. And you all know it, or the Drain Commissioner knows it. People know it. You're talking about turning Aranet County into an industrial wasteland. There's money set aside at the end of this project for demolition to dispose and clean up the land. How are you, if there was a windstorm or a hailstorm, how are you going to clean 1,200 acres of glass and metal shards out of the soil? You won't. You won't. And potato farmers of Michigan already said they can't sell their potatoes. So you turn that ag land into industrial, into a poor, rural community with 200 people in it. That's what the state of Michigan has done. You are all naive if you think it's only 1,200 acres. All naive. They pushed this in. Mark my words. I know there are contracts out there. Mark my words. They're turning our county into an industrial wasteland because we're poor. They're not doing it in Macomb County. They're not doing it in Grand Traverse County. They're doing it because no one's standing up. Everyone feels beat down. I go into the grocery store. The people are just like sad, beyond. I haven't been over in this area in the whole winter. I ask them how they're doing. Tears. We're getting by. We're getting by. We're getting by. You know what that means, getting by? It means there's struggle. And you're going to do this to our town and think it's going to bring in millions of dollars for what? People are moving out. Look at the surveys. People are downsizing. People sold out. Less than a dozen people sold out 2 communities. That's it.
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you. I'm Dan Devine. I'm a property owner down the street here in Township, and as over the last 40 years, I've been an attorney at the municipal level and an elected official, and I know what's right and what's wrong. If board members have non-disclosure agreements with DTE or consumers or any of these groups that are coming into these rural areas for mega data centers, solar, wind, whatever, they need to disclose that to the public. And then they cannot vote on the matters before them that relate to those projects. It's a conflict of interest, it's wrong. And I was here at a meeting a couple months ago when this board adopted a code of ethics promulgated by the Townships Association of Michigan that said they would not engage in conflict of interest. So if anyone is involved in any agreement whatsoever, non-disclosure, or have any financial or contiguous land with this project, they need to let us know, and then they can't vote on it. And what they did vote on in the past is subject to be overturned. Over my experience, over 40 years of dealing with politics, most crooked politicians don't start out crooked, but they get into office and they go up the ladder, and it's very expensive to get reelected. And what happens is they start to be bought and owned by the special interests. Thankfully, there will be a ballot initiative on the ballot in November called Money Out of Politics in Michigan, or MOP. You're going to see a lot about it. It's a bipartisan and very popular with the people. It will say no more money to politicians' campaign funds from DTE, Consumers Power, the other monopolies in Michigan, including Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it'll take that money out. That money is what has driven the crazy legislation that has allowed for these solar parks, the wind turbines, the mega data centers. All of that is driven by campaign contributions from the monopolies in this state. Where do they get that money? From us. They continue to raise the rates, raise the premiums. We're paying them to screw us. And it ain't right. But it starts at the local level. And if they can't disclose to us what their interest is in this project, then they gotta go. And they gotta go right now. We can't wait. This whole thing was driven by a crazy law with crazy money that we gave these people. And we need them to honor the public trust, not the DTE trust. And throwing money, $600,000, that's just a glorified bribe in the community. That's what it is. It's legal, doesn't make it ethical. Just because the legislature approved it didn't make it ethical. You look at those people that voted for these things in the legislature, look at their campaign finance records. Going back in time from when they were first elected, you can see how they were righteous at the beginning, then the money started pouring in, and then they started getting crooked. We gotta wake up, people. This is just the tip of the iceberg in these rural communities. And I didn't buy my property here to be surrounded by toxic waste and toxic attitudes and people leaving. I came because it was a family-oriented town, and I wanted to be part of it. Very disappointed with what I've seen so far.
Thank you.
I'm trying to keep up.
Take your time.
My rating's getting more atrocious as we go along. Jason?
I'd like to wait till the end, but if you want me to go now, I can, it's up to you.
Do we care if we get up to that?
This is comment session, you make it now, or?
Sure. So Jason Gann, DTE, the people who have stated that we're buying out politicians and the rest. So I just find a couple things that are interesting out of this. First, this township and this project has been public for years. There have been all of the requirements met by MTA to walk through the steps. You're an attorney, and I find it interesting that an attorney here is,
Addressing me,
there is an attorney here that has made statements.
Address the board, please.
Yeah, there are individuals here that are making statements that are stating that there are people and institutions doing nefarious and illegal actions. As an attorney, I would think that they would want to be more mindful about their public comments. Second, especially unfounded. Second, conflict of interest is interesting because it's been used by antis. Conflict of interest is in a special land use permit is defined as a person who is conflicted out having a singular or individual interest. So for instance, if you go and you have, which I don't know of anybody with a conflict, but let's just talk about it in general terms. If you have an interest and you have a property that you're gonna put a gas station on, right, individually, you cannot vote for that because you have a single interest. If you have a community interest as a whole, then you're able to vote on not only the actual permits, but also on the ordinances themselves because they're public and they're going to benefit the whole of the public. So that one confuses me that individuals would make those statements. So I think it's just good to clarify that. The other part is on the naming. I wish we had more of a thought pattern around that. It's a nomenclature group that actually is not associated with the development side within DTE and other utility companies. They are set when you have substations, other power resources like solar panels or solar parks or wind parks, then they name those and they have reasonings around their naming. I don't agree with them all the time. I don't think that they fit the actual name, but there's no nefarious part of deceiving anyone at any time. It's just the fact that they're trying to do that with all the different substations throughout, not having them be redundant, and it's for fire safety, things along that line, so they can actually identify those particular areas. So I've actually communicated with one of the VPs because I know that the big thing was it was a rival between Augury and this as far as football. So I'm from Texas, so I totally understand that. If you got to compete in school, don't want to end up doing it. It's my project I'm proud of. As far as site plans and understanding and education and that, I'm proud to be a part of projects throughout the state of Michigan. You can feel free to communicate with very educated public officials. One of them actually runs the MTA, now president, who is in Gratiot County, who in Pine River, who has had projects from DTE in that community for over a decade. and has ran it the appropriate way. It is not, houses aren't selling out. Meridian Wind Park that I have in, actually there's no houses for sale because the values have went through the roof. And we've actually had a individual who is the PC chair show up at one of our meetings and communicate that in one of our other projects we're permitting. So you also have Isabella County, which is a very prosperous and well-run county that has allowed solar, wind. So I want to make clear that we're not looking for communities that are in a financial downturn or economics to go into. We're looking for other parameters that fit our needs. Predominantly is that power line that's sitting out there. That's the reason why that attracted us here. Also, people who have, still in America, the right to be able to own and do what they wish to with their land. I get confused because when I go into a red area and people talk about personal property rights and want to take it away and they want less government, and it's confusing me because I see it on their agendas or sites or the parties that they're voting for that talk about the fact of less government intervention unless it's not what I want. Then I want the government to intervene. I want to stop them from doing that. Illegal land use, which has been enacted for, I don't even know, over a decade in the state of Michigan. As far as the PA 233, DTE didn't support it. We didn't have to come here and do what we did. We could have went straight to the state. So I want to set that record very straight. We're a great neighbor. We have townships and counties contacting us constantly, asking us to come in saying, if anybody's going to build a project, we want DTE because of the way that you have treated others. And you can communicate with, again, counties and townships, and I'll give you a list of the names of ones who wanted us there, who enjoy us being there, who have benefited from us being there. So I always say this, proof's in the pudding. As far as wind and rain and the rest of the stuff, I think we've had plenty. We don't end up having any impacts on our solar panels. They're tested for around 150 mile an hour winds. That's our job if it does do it, because we're for profit and then we have to maintain it. We had some hail damage back at one time on a project down in Lapeer, and what happened there, we replaced the panels. It was very limited. The other problem I have is when people shoot it with a gun. I've had a couple of those. I don't understand how people go to violence over something like solar, but to each his own. Then there's the PA, let me go back to PA 233 on that, is that was actually a court that ended up handing down a ruling. And I'm gonna back up on 233. 233 was passed because townships,
All I heard
and
was
including
you
myself,
said they
and
vote for
including
our
myself,
interest.
and including
And they
my,
did it.
Gentlemen,
What do you guys
and
say about
including
that?
including myself,
Please.
Blah, blah.
and including myself, were actually threatened physically. There are videos that went to the governor's office. There are videos that went to the MPSC. There are ones like that, and it was an uncontrolled area. It was not where you could have rule of law. So they intervened and gave an alternative. Again, we came in here and said we don't want to do that. We publicly did it. You're here. There are many people who are here that were participating in this community and heard us say that. We walked through to be able to build a project we're proud of. We didn't have to go through there, and PA 233 is still upheld. Homier lost dramatically in his fight against it. And the fact that there were a couple of different parts to his end, which was notification, which I don't have a problem with, shows that, again, the courts are upholding it. Another court case that was important was one that was handed down by a district court where a township tried to stop us after putting in a solar project or a solar ordinance. We met all the requirements, went through, met it all, including with their attorney, and then tried to deny. Went to court, and the courts in the state of Michigan upheld our ability to move forward. We are more than willing and open. Well, first of all, we do have our slump. I think there was a listing that we didn't, but we do have our permit. If there's any individuals that have concerns around it, like how many acres, in that document, the reason why it's 166 pages, is that we have done above and beyond all the testing and the rest to make for sure that we have complied on Eagle standards, right? That we've complied on other natural, I think you said turtles, I can't speak to that, or a lady had spoken about turtles. I can't speak to that, but I know that we're in depth on our environmental, and I know that we have an entire department that does that. So we've supplied that so individuals can look at it, go through it, and individuals have, and be able to see that we've actually met those standards. So I will make myself available. Garen will make himself available. Our cell phones are listed on our cards. We're more than willing to communicate with anyone throughout this entire project while it's being built, after the fact, ongoing, about any part of the project. All I ask is that we treat each other with respect, you communicate effectively with me out of it, and if you have those questions that I can answer, I'm more than willing to do that. So I want to make that and make our company available. We'll continue to do updates and rests as we move along in the project, so that way everyone is able to see the safe way we deal with it and the way our contractors will. So thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Let it be known that usually comments are limited to 3 minutes. But because of the community interest, I'm allowing it to go over so the full explanation can be
Next
cited.
for public speaking, I mean, when did that start? Because if I didn't know that, I had some stuff to talk about. Did this only?
Well, you had an opportunity.
Oh, I didn't know we had over 3 minutes. It's typically 3, like you said, and now he speaks and it's.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Oh, not at this time, but I sure will come back with it.
Thank you.
Sorry. Ken? Horn?
Yeah, thank you. It wouldn't my intent to speak, but yeah, I just signed your register, kind of out of courtesy. I'm Ken Horn, actually a former United States Senator. I chaired the House Energy Committee and then the Senate Economic Development Committee. I wasn't there for Public Act 233, unless I would have voted against it had I been there. But my role with First Land Services, full disclosure, DTE is a client of mine. I don't know the detail, I'm not on the technical side, so I can't help, with, a lot of the answers, but I've been to enough town hall meetings, in my lifetime, 30 years of elected office to know that, people have a right to speak and we want to make sure we hear everything that they say, and you're doing a great job, Mr. Supervisor. My role is to talk to chambers of commerce, to economic development organizations within the counties, to community leaders, come in and talk to them about the projects and how they'll affect, the people of the community. For example, in a week and a half, I'm going to be doing an economic outlook presentation to the Bad Act Chamber of Commerce in Huron County Outlook. And what we're finding out is, in this region, all up and through this part of Michigan, the upper east side, the Thumb area, Great Lakes Bay region where I hail from, we've been losing population for 3 or 4 decades. Your senior population makes up about 1/3 of your population. Your young people are leaving. That's not uncommon. And when it was brought up earlier that we're just getting by. Our paychecks, our average household incomes are less than state average in this region, less than national average. So when a development comes in, if it's an auto plant, down south or something else, coming in the segment countries, had Corning come in. I have Hemlock Semiconductor that makes the solar grade silicon. It's the most pure metal in the world made out of zinc. It starts to say there's nothing, there's nothing that's that's going to pollute the ground out of that. So people have the right to ask the question, but it's really wrong for some people to gaslight that issue. It's not. And so I come in and I answer questions like that, and I make myself available, to the board, to the people. Whenever you need us to, talk about, what is, coming into your neighborhood, how can we impact it? you know, when a project comes in, and it's a, you know, it's a $300 or $400 million project, that's pretty significant, you know, for a county, for a small community. And, you know, for a community that, you know, some kind of struggle, when especially when you're talking to neighbors in the grocery store, and they know they're struggling, and they know they're just getting by. And, you know, in Bad, for example, they're combining their school district, elementary, and their middle school and high school, are all coming together in one campus. They lost 800 students in less than 20 years at $10,000 per pupil. You know, and so what do you do? Raise the school taxes? Senior citizen village in many counties is underwater. You know, what do you do? Raise the village? Then people are left behind. You know, because young people are leaving. You know, they're not necessarily, you know, farming on the land that we want to preserve. And so the farm owners are trying to figure out what to do with their land. They're taking on 2 or 3 jobs, you know, to protect the family farm. And so we're seeing this all around the state. And so these are the kinds of things, you know, that we're trying to deal with. Mr. Supervisor, you and your board are trying to, come to grips with, about, property rights and community benefits, how to balance out, for the best of the community here. And I have great respect for that. And so, I can leave some cards behind, but we're here to answer questions. And so if there's anything that comes up, we're certainly available to them.
Thank you.
Bill?
Listen to the rest of the program.
Robin?
I got a quick question. Does everyone know that if they skip right now, they can't talk later?
I thought that we said that already when Jason wanted to get skipped.
Yeah, well, that's what we're calling the names, is you have your opportunity to make a comment.
And I'll speak. Me personally, I signed up for an easement to go through my property. I was totally deceived. They told me at the time that the easement was to run power from the power station in Twining to All Gray, to give All Gray power because they were lacking power because of the marijuana facilities. And I was against it. I says that I didn't want power poles running through my yard, through my fields, because I got a farm around and stuff, and I do farm, and it's hard to work around power poles. So then they came back and they said they would do it underground with a box here and a box there, a junction box. I said I wasn't for that either. I says, because that's no different than a telephone pole. So they came back the third time and said they would do it all underground, and so my wife and I decided against my better judgment, we decided that it was the best interest for All Gray, because if we lived in All Gray, we'd want the people over here to do the same for us, to give us power. But I was assured at the time, there was no solar panels going by me. And as of 2 weeks ago, Brad Holmes assured me again, he says, Bill, this is not a guaranteed deal. There may not even be solar panels by you. Well, he just lied to me. But then the other thing is on setbacks. Setbacks, if you're participating, it's 200 feet. Non-participating, 300 feet. Well, I'm not participating in no solar deal. It was an easement right, which I thought was for power to All Gray. So I got a 200-foot easement, but there's participating people that's actually got it at 300. So that bothers me, because it's not fair. And the other thing is, we talk about this, about cleanup and stuff like this at Hazard. There's no guarantee that this stuff isn't gonna cause problems down the road. It might not hurt us at all. It's not us I'm worried about. It's about my kids and my grandkids. So that's a big concern. I says, money's not worth everything. When you die, you get put in the ground, you don't take money with you. What you leave behind is your ancestors or your children. They're the next ones. And if we're the people here today and we don't use better judgment than what we're using, down the road, our kids and grandkids could be in bad shape. And as far as, what else am I gonna say? I guess I can't think of anything else.
Take your time.
But, my other thing is, DT, when they come around, they said, this is no problem. There's no health concerns, there's no nothing. But I'd like tonight, by a show of hands to the DT people that are here, how many of these facilities are in your backyards? Anybody raise their hands if you're associated with DT or the solar project, that these are in your backyards? That's what I figured, not a one. But they're willing to sell out us for this, but they don't even have them in their own backyards. So how safe and stuff are they really, you know? That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Robin?
Not this time.
I don't know if you're, I'd like to have them answered, it would be great. My concern is, my question is, does Lapan, I think I'm saying it right, the people at
Lapham.
Lapham Associates, do they have the authorization to change the wording in our ordinance without the Township Board of Approval? That's question number one. Can they change any verbiage in there without the approval of this board? That I would like answered, and hopefully sooner rather than later. And if they do have that authority to do that, things got changed in the ordinance, I believe, that just like what we were just talking about, property lines, it got on that paper that was voted on by the Planning Commission and the board. I don't remember what day it was, but it was put in there from property line 300 feet to residence. How did he get from property line to residence at 300 feet? The footage stayed the same, but it went from property line to residence. I would like to know how that got changed. Can they have the authority to do that? Or did somebody in the township board authorize them to change that verbiage and bring it to that meeting? It got overlooked. It should have been brought up at a bullet point. We talked about, the biggest thing at that meeting was talked about noise. 40 and 30 decibels, and it went 40. But in that, and I don't know why I didn't catch it, but I didn't. It said residence, and I should have caught it myself. But I blame the board for not bringing that up as a bullet point to talk about and let the people know that this is another change that needs to be addressed. And so that kind of bothers me also. That's the questions that I have. Hopefully we can get an answer sooner rather than later on those questions. That's what I have.
Thank you. You have any questions, Tina?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Mackenzie?
Hello. My name is Mackenzie. I grew up in this township. I am probably one of the youngest people in this room right now. So I grew up on Dyer Road on a horse farm. And that horse farm gave me the opportunity to go out and get a scholarship in Kansas and go to college for agricultural science. Now, this is nothing against the whole, hey, we want to get into solar energy, because, you know, that's cool, you know? Hey, we're getting in there, we're doing stuff for our next generation to help with clean air versus doing fossil fuels. My biggest concern is, like he said, he's a farmer. This takes up part of our land. This takes up land that we could be using for, well, what we do here, winter wheat, corn, soybean. That's a supply and demand for everything that we do. the meat that hits your table, it feeds them. Soybean can be used to make renewable fuel. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we utilizing like the roofs of our buildings over top of our parking lots? Why does it have to be a farm field? I came back here because the thing I loved most, especially going to school for agricultural science, was this area, point blank, was farm. This was something that I wanted to do, which fortunately, like they said over there, unfortunately, the area does not provide enough income for me to turn around and be like, hey, I'm gonna go buy this land. It's something I would love to do. I would really love to buy my parents' farm when it comes the time that they want to retire. Because, very point blank, that's something I grew up on. They're doing more than horses now. They do hogs, they do chickens. You could go and drive down the road and knock on the door and say, hey, I want a dozen eggs. But somebody comes up to their door and they know somebody's been trying to get a hold of them. But why? To sell the land, the 14 acres they have there? Because who knows? We don't know if there's a solar park like showing up behind their door. I mean, I didn't get a full chance to look at that map to know exactly where they're going, to know, hey, this might be here behind them. And it is an assumption that they are starting to have because they're like, hey, somebody keeps coming. Somebody keeps showing up. They don't want to sell because they run horse shows there. They advertise businesses in Whittemore, here in Twining. Mandy Cedar, now Mandy Birch, she runs Pony Express. She advertises for them. She advertises for people in Au Gres, and people from all over the state come here, run their horses, and see that, and it brings businesses like these businesses, people from all over the state. They wouldn't want to sell that and not screw over all those people that they sat there and advertised. It is a stressful thing to stop and think about it. And again, it's not against solar energy, it's not against wind power, because it's good for the environment, but it's where we're putting them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think they heard it.
They're not answering it.
Something that's already set in stone, or are we gonna be able to affect this?
No answers tonight.
They don't answer you.
So,
So
can
it's-
we
I
let
don't
them know
know.
when they will get it?
Yeah, who was that?
It's Paul Stafford. I'm just wondering if we could.
Oh,
Who was it? It says.
Paul. Ashley's Oval. Where'd she go? Oh.
Question as far as the jobs solar is bringing in, but after solar is gone, what jobs are there? I know. Ken, okay, completely wrong. I'm sorry. Ken had mentioned about like young people are moving out and a third of our population here is retirement age, but I do know there are a lot of people in this community that do have young kids that are not planning to move. So I'd like to know what jobs after solar that's gonna give to the community. Yeah.
Thank you.
Rod, you signed this. Does that mean you would like to leave your spot and talk as public?
Yep.
Okay.
This gentleman over here made a comment, and I got questions to that. He said that the communities that these panels come into and these solar companies come into, they have raised property values significantly. Well, when you're talking one of the poorest communities around that I know of, and everybody here is already struggling to pay the property taxes that they have, who's gonna compensate all the residents that, you know, for the extra when the property values soar, as he said? And, you know what, I don't know, you know, last night down in Bay County, they had baseball size hail. And I don't care how strong a panel is, you can't tell me that there isn't gonna be damage to these panels if we get one of them storms. And, you know, who cleans up that mess? And, you know, if you, God forbid, have a tornado and they get ripped out, who's gonna clean up the rest of the county? And, you know, I don't know, Turner Township was born on farming, crops coming out of the ground, feeding animals, feeding people. And to deviate from that plan, to me, right from the get-go on solar, you know, there's lots of places, brown lands, former GM sites, median strips that you can place these things that are dead lands, no value, and instead of using prime farmland, fertile farmland, and taking away revenue for our area farmers because they're losing acres. And I think it's an injustice to the whole community for 5 or 6 or 10 people to dictate what goes on for the whole township. It's wrong, I don't like it, and I'll never vote for it.
Thank you.
Stephen Bender?
So, I know you're not answering now. Simple questions, just like he had. Is it a done deal? You're talking like it's a done deal. And obviously you're not gonna answer it. But we elected you to answer to the people. These are the people here to ask you questions. You won't even answer people, right? So, as we talk and comment, and if we have questions, you're not gonna answer. So the only recourse we do have is to vote you out of office at that point, because if you're gonna take over in the few 12 people or whoever's selling out their land for the other hundreds of people, and this was, like he said, 4 years of gossip. It was talked about. It was never really talked about. That's what we heard. Oh, it's coming, this is happening. And people are knocking on doors, and there's contracts here, there's Mason, there's Iosco, there's all these places. But if you're not gonna answer right now, when do we get the answers? When are the questions answered? And why won't you stand up and answer the questions now when we're here? That's it.
Thank you. You have that, Tina?
Yep. Renee Howell? Huh?
We asked for
No Renee? Joy Willis?
So first of all, I wanna thank the guys from DTE being here, that's awesome of you. Thank you also for pointing out that we can talk to people that are very educated in this, as though we are not educated in this. Since this is coming to our community, we've all become very educated. And the people that you want to refer us to, are they taking payments from DTE? Do they work for you? The people that you're going to be referring me to speak to, do they work for DTE? Or are these impartial people? That's my first question for DTE. Do we struggle here? We do. A lot of us struggle by choice because we have generations of farmland here. My husband drove an hour to work every day, so that way we could make ends meet. You know, when you live here, you're going to be struggling. You're going to have to drive an hour if you're not a farmer. If you are a farmer, you're going to struggle, but this community supports you every day. Secondly, did you guys check with Augrey to see if you could use our name? I'm from Augrey Township. This is ridiculous that you're trying to plant this on Augrey.
Did you talk to anyone from any of the city boards, any of the township boards before you named them? Did you give that consideration at all? Maybe All Gray doesn't want this on their reputation. Did you contact Dale? Did you contact Jim Herzog? Anyone from All Gray? I know you're all just gonna sit there and not say a word, which is wild to me. Honestly, you guys did a great job. These guys, like, I can't believe it. Also, there's not enough housing in this community. That's why we're a small community. Maybe if some of these farmers would have opened up housing on their property, that would have hurt, or that would have helped. We don't have enough people here. As soon as a house opens up for rent, people are scrambling for it because there's not enough housing. There's not enough housing to put more children in the schools so that way they will thrive. We don't need DTE. You're not going to help our situation. You're taking away land that could be used for housing people that are coming into this community. How is taking land that could be used for housing going to help anyone in this situation? More housing brings in more people, which brings in more business to the townships and the cities. I don't understand how you people are getting to this point. I really don't. I mean, it's just crazy. And if you want lower taxes, you want better prices, go to your board, ask them to lower your taxes. Don't do this. I have grandchildren. You guys, everybody that's old is, just here. Newer people, younger people aren't moving in. I have a 32-year-old daughter that just moved back home with 4 children because she wants to live in a small community that is clean. This is not going to be clean. For DTE, how many lawsuits have you had against you for pollution? And what kind of ordinances are you guys putting in place for them to clean up anything that is broken? Have you even thought of that? Are you considering that? And I also would like to ask, what kind of non-disclosures, and how could you, as a board, sign a non-disclosure knowing you're hiding things from your community? This makes no sense to me. Again, I live in All Gray Township. I live on the border of this. Everything that you guys are doing here, and if it's true, Iosco County is gonna flood right over us. And I did inherit properties. I've inherited property where I live, and I'm inheriting property over in All Gray. It's right near the bay. You're killing your citizens by doing this. GTE knows it, and you guys know it if you've looked at any reports. There's already lawsuits on this. That's the end of my comment. Thank you.
I think I missed writing down one of your questions because my brain went glitchy for a minute. It was right at the end. I got what the cleanup plans are there, and then
yes, did you guys create more
disclosures.
cleanups?
Okay.
And disclosures. I will never in a million years understand how legally you as township board members have signed a disclosure with a company that obviously does not have anyone's best interest. And if it was in your best interest, they would not ask you to sign a non-disclosure agreement. How did that not just red flag you? When you're a child and somebody says keep a secret, it's not safe. It's even worse when you're an adult. Because now you're poisoning everybody. And it's gonna be on you guys. It's wild to me. But okay. I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Keith.
She just asked my last question, so.
Okay. Let me write down that I asked you to speak. Okay. Cindy Jones.
Just here to hear what's going on.
Paul, did you have more than what you interjected? Huh?
You said no.
No? Okay.
You said no.
Oh, that's you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
This is Paul. Okay.
Okay, so my name is Paul Golombiewski. I live over in the Sterling area, and DT's been around all over, as we all probably know. But my thoughts were, or concerns is what is the cost of this going to be to putting this into the into your township? Sorry, I stutter a little bit. And also, what is the efficiency how much energy are they actually going to produce to put into the electrical grid? Just recently, a few weeks ago, I was talking to an engineer, works at GM, and the panels down there that they have, or the best panels that they have out, 30%. 30% efficiency. Now, you're going to have 1,400 acres. I mean, you're only going to get what? Maybe 400 acres out of that, 200 acres maybe out of it or something? That's actually going to be to put into the grid. I just don't, I'm not a big fan of it. Maybe in personal homes, if you want to put it in your personal home or something like that, great. But as far as using up our farmland to produce, for food, they're always talking about a food shortage. I don't understand why you want to go this route. And also back to Mr. Horn's comment there that he made about the Chamber of Commerce and getting to the communities with them. Well, sure, you sit down with the Chamber of Commerce. Okay, who are those people? Those are your business people, right? But do you ever think of the people that have to pay for those projects that you're trying to push through? That's us, all the working people. And I've never heard of these solar panels or wind that our energy bills are going to go down. I've never heard that. You know, it's not worth it. Not at all. That'll be it. Thank you.
Chuck?
I don't have any good questions. I heard a bunch of them here just recently or whatever, and that's kind of what was on my mind. I don't see any benefit to myself in my own home. Whether property values go up, then that's actually a price you out game that's been played across the nation many times if you really look into it. And I also heard someone speaking about the kids. I don't have children. I see them. But I gotta say this, the other day I went to my buddy's house. He's on the other side of the Ball Diamonds over here in Maple Ridge. I know there was over 100 vehicles there. And there was kids everywhere. And I kinda got a good feeling, just cruising by slow, checking that out. I was like, this is actually pretty awesome here. It really is. I don't like the environmental outlook of it. I don't like the cleanup that I've read about in different places across the country. I feel really sad that we are in this position right now because I think the law is in DTE's favor. They're pretty good, not DTE themselves. I actually think they're a pretty good company, but they're able to trample across small rural people like me. So I'm against it. I won't vote for any part of it. And thanks everybody for the good questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's everybody that's on the list. Did you miss the list?
Yeah, can I just say?
Yep, you absolutely, do you want your name noted, or would you like it
It's
left?
okay, it doesn't need to be noted. It's very odd, extremely odd, that you won't answer these people's questions. But I guess it's because you signed a non-disclosure agreement with this company that's bringing in these solar panels. I mean, you're the township board, you're supposed to be representative and answering to the people who elected you. It really looks bad, and it's just extremely weird that you won't talk to them and answer whatever questions they have. Here they're just asking questions into the air. I mean, it's not ethical. It's just not ethical. So I think go ahead and answer the questions that they've asked here. This is your time for their questions. Yes, I am.
I'm sorry, what is your name, if you want me to write it down?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Great. Yeah, thank you. I don't want to take over your meeting. I do have a tendency of doing that sometimes. I'm State Representative Mike Colby. I want to come in today. One, to hear what the community's talking about with this project. It isn't anything new. I believe we had a town hall over at the high school a year and a half or so ago when this was starting to get some legs behind it. PA 233 hadn't been passed yet. So I can give some clarification on PA 233. There's a little bit of confusion on that. That was stated.
Unfortunately, Ken, I was there when it was passed. I did vote no, and in fact, I gave a pretty fiery floor speech, which I don't typically do at 1 o'clock in the morning when that was jammed down our throat in the middle of the night. PA 233 came in a bill package that also included clean energy mandates, meaning the state would be mandated to be 60% clean energy by 2035 and 100% by 2040. The only way to do that, because if you do the math, I've done the math, you will need over 400,000 acres in this state to exceed 60% solar. That's why the push, to answer that question of why now. But this does come because of politics that got involved and pretty much the state having the environmental I don't like doing it, so okay, I've made that clear before. But PA 233, what that does is gives the state, meaning the MPSC, the Michigan Public Service Commission, the right to overturn the township. You still have to go to the township first. The township has the first right of refusal. Now, if you were to say no, then you can petition the MPSC to overturn your township's vote. Currently, the MPSC has 9 active cases that have been brought to them to overturn local control. None have been overturned as of yet. So we've got 2 issues here. The product, which I tried to bite my tongue a little bit and just ended with I don't like it. I think that's clear. Most people here don't like the product. But on the other thing that we're talking about, and I think it's where we're at right now, is the process. So we can talk about all the uglies of wind, solar, data centers, whatever. You really got to dig in the process. You know, the NDAs, how long has this gone? And I'll be completely honest, I haven't dug into all the details of the board. And to your point, there is a distinct difference between what's illegal and what's unethical. And unfortunately, a lot of unethical goes on, you know, so we can frame that in legally. But I wanted to clarify PA 233. I can answer any questions regarding state law on that, but I just wanted to come here today for the people that are here. So if you've got questions, I'll answer questions. So, and I don't sign NDAs. So if you'll allow it, I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay, we thank everybody for the comments, and we will get back with questions as soon as we can.
Well, we'll have to talk about how you want to get back with questions.
Yeah, how does that?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
We gotta wait a month?
no, we're gonna discuss it
Right now.
tonight, yeah.
Right now?
But we're gonna discuss it.
It's,
Well, get through the yucky stuff and then we'll get into,
okay.
follow your agenda.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
like this one, this is amended agenda.
Well, there's been a few comments. Okay, we thank everybody for the comments, anyhow. We appreciate you being here. Minutes of their
No,
previous.
amended agenda.
Amended agenda.
Okay, I would like to add to the agenda, under new business, that the board comes up with a good way of responding to the public. However that is going to look, but we need to add it to the agenda so that we can talk about it.
Under new business?
Under